What's up, guys? It's Lord Botha here with another video, and Blood of the Dawnwalker just had their cinematic trailer reveal thing bullshit that I don't know really how we classify it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, and I know this video is gonna get ratioed, but I didn't like really any of this. Yes, you had the cinematic trailer and you saw some cinematic gameplay, not actual gameplay. And what I did see of it, it looked alright. Story is slightly intriguing, character is slightly intriguing, but what I didn't like was the entire huge part in the middle, which if you actually watch the whole reveal, wasn't just some cinematic trailer within a little 3 scenes of actual gameplay that lasted 8 seconds at the very end. Most of this reveal was the Ex-CDPR devs who then formed Rebel Wolves Studios because they left CD Projekt Red because they didn't like how things were being ran over there or whatever, which, good on them for doing what they want and betting on themselves. But they were spending the whole time telling us what's going to be in the game without showing us what's going to be in the game, which gave me really strong Cyberpunk 2077 vibes. Which Cyberpunk 2077, let's be honest, overpromised and underdelivered huge on everything they said was going to be in that game. And of course, when it released, it was a completely jumbled, bungled mess of a game that was next to impossible to run on last-gen consoles when games were still coming out fairly popularly in last-gen consoles. And it took them up until, last year to get the game to where it was supposed to be at launch, which ended up costing CD Projekt Red millions upon millions of dollars, I'm sure, and costing them time and manpower that could have been used to make more DLC and actually add some of the things that they promised were going to be in the game from the beginning. So don't forget, these guys that made this new Blood of the Dawnwalker, yeah, they were guys that were involved in the greatness that was Witcher 3. But they were also guys that were heavily involved in the bungled mess that was Cyberpunk 2077. So yeah, I didn't like them walking around telling me about all the elements that were going to be in the game instead of showing me all the elements that were going to be in the game. Because if they just tell you and they don't show you, then they haven't been put in yet or aren't at a point where they can be shown off yet, which means that they could still be dropped. Honestly, watching this thing was like watching Avowed at, I think it was Gamescom Expo that it came out at, where they showed a half hour of gameplay. This whole reveal was like the inverse of that, where Avowed showed a ton of gameplay, and the more gameplay we watched, the less interested we became of it as gamers. In this, we kept hearing more and more about the game, and they kept talking more and more about the game instead of showing us, and the same effect was achieved. I became less and less interested in this game. They also spent a good chunk of that time talking in this weird, interview between each other or something like that about how the game was essentially not Witcher. They spent a lot of effort and time trying to make us think that this is not Geralt and not young Witcher. Even though when you look at the character, he definitely looks inspired by Geralt. And the whole theme and feel of the game definitely feels like Witcher. I mean, there are already articles being released that are entitled things like Blood of the Dawnwalker, Rebel Wolves' answer to the question, what would Geralt be like if he was a vampire? And another thing I didn't like about this was that they clearly spent a ton of money on this production for this reveal, where they didn't really reveal anything. They just walked around the castle talking about what was in the game, after showing us a cinematic trailer, and then at the very end, again, showing us 8 seconds of actual gameplay, and most of it was walking. And then they had a Marvel Studios level of amount of credits at the end for all the people that worked in production for this. It's just, it was really, really poor. And I know a lot of people are going to dislike this video, and they're going to call me a CD Projekt Red stan, which is incredibly not true. And they're going to watch this and yell, woke, woke, which again is incredibly not true if you watch any of my other content. And they're also going to say, oh, well, at the end it tells us that there's gameplay that's going to come later in summer of 2025. Okay, cool. what the hell was the point of this then? Again, all you're doing is telling me that there's going to be stuff that's going to be in the game. And it may be there or it may not, but it's what you're planning on putting in there. And you show me a cinematic trailer. What's the point? What's the point of releasing it earlier than the actual gameplay? It doesn't do anything for us. The only thing interesting I will say about this is that it is interesting that CD Projekt Red came out in a statement earlier this week and said, oh, hey, we still got, the lead writer from The Witcher on here. We still got the lore master. We still got like 100 devs that worked on Witcher 3 that still work here. We still got plenty. We got plenty of people that used to work on those games that still work here. It's almost like they knew this reveal was going to come out and they were worried that people were really, really going to be into it, which, to be fair, there are a lot of people that are into it, even though I personally didn't really like it, didn't really care, at least from what they showed me. But it's almost like CD Projekt knew people were going to see this and that they might like it, and they wanted to get ahead by saying, hey, those guys at Rebel Wolves that used to work there, well, we still got a bunch of those kinds of guys that work over here, okay? So don't be thinking that like all the talent left to go over there, all right? So I will give it this. At least it's starting to stir up some competition. And competition in the gaming industry is desperately needed. And I'm talking about the good kind of competition that, drives innovation and a desire to have better mechanics, better storytelling. Just the existence of Rebel Wolves Studio and what they're trying to do with their definitely not a knockoff of Geralt and definitely not a knockoff of The Witcher, at least that's now driving competition. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you liked this video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you watching all of it. We'll talk to you again later.